Hello, amazing people! Well, here we are. Today, we are at Dade Battlefield Historic State Park, and this one is special. We're here for an event called A Frontier Christmas, where history comes alive through hands-on experiences, crafts, games, and stories straight from Florida's frontier days. We arrived early, before the crowds, before the music, before everything officially kicked off. And while we waited for our friends to arrive, we jumped right in to help a few volunteers set up the kids' activity area. And honestly, that felt like the perfect way to start the day. Learning by doing, lending a hand, and stepping up to the past before the celebration even began.
What do we got? Marionettes?
Hanging bears.
Oh, hanging bears.
And like I told them, hold your hands just a little bit like this, and by doing this, work that little teddy bear. Okay, your hands are too close. Okay, hold on. Okay. Watch your climbing. See how far apart your hands are? Click!
Soldiers had their muskets underneath their coats to keep their powder dry. Unbeknownst to him, 180 Seminole warriors laying in the palmettos on top of their muskets to keep their powder dry. Chief Jumper was waiting. His job was to let Chief Mickinobi, who was up at the front of the park, know when the last soldier passed him. Major Dade got to the front of the park where Mickinobi was. Mickinobi sat up on his horse and fired one shot. Killed Major Dade dead. He fell off his horse. It's a signal for 180 Seminole warriors to stand up and fire. And this happened right over here on the other side of the road.
Oh my God.
And you use the stick to keep going.
That's where the experiment monkeys escaped.
Oh, dude!
Once everything was set and the games were ready, we headed toward the park's visitor center and museum. Because as fun as the celebration is, this place holds one of the most important and sobering stories in Florida's history.
Look at this.
Oh, we love you.
Arrows with poison.
Inside the museum, we started learning about the events that led to the Second Seminole War, a conflict rooted in broken treaties, forced removal, and resistance. This park preserves the story of a moment that changed the course of Florida and U.S. history. Dade Battlefield marks the site of a defining moment on December 28, 1835, an ambush that shocked the nation and ignited the Second Seminole War. Colonel Francis Longhorn Dade, the man Dade County was named after, was leading more than 100 U.S. soldiers through this area when Seminole warriors led by Mickinobi Jumper and Alligator launched a surprise attack. Nearly the entire column was lost.
Not satisfied with it. But now my people are around me. General Duncan Lamont Clinch, commander of the American soldiers, and before a company of soldiers to march from Fort Brooke and Tampa Bay.
Thank you. What makes this battlefield so powerful is how precisely it was studied and preserved. The markers you see don't just represent the general areas, they mark where the soldiers fell and where they were buried, and where the remains were later recovered. Historians were able to reconstruct the battle almost step by step, identifying positions, movements, and final moments. As we walk through the field, it's impossible not to imagine the confusion, the fear, and the chaos of that day. This wasn't a short skirmish, it was a turning point. News of the defeat spread quickly and transformed what was expected to be a brief conflict into a long, brutal war that lasted 7 years. Standing here today, the land feels quiet, but heavy. It's a reminder that history isn't just dates in a book, it's lived experiences, sacrifices, and consequences that still echo. Walking these paths, you feel both the tragedy of the past and the responsibility of remembering it.
I promise to protect
I promise to protect
the plants, animals, water, geological features, culture, and history of Florida State Parks.
Cool.
After such a reflective moment, we shifted gears and headed back to the Frontier Christmas celebration. And our first stop was the fresh sugarcane, raw, straight from the stalk, and very much a frontier treat.
Might have to share it around.
Yeah, we'll do that. So, do we just chew on it, or what do you
Peel it and suck on it.
peel?
Like a rope.
We got sugar cake, guys.
Yeah, that might have
Please,
a small peel,
sugar.
but it's the
How do you?
pricing
What do you do with it?
too competitive
You
to
peel off the
like
bark and
oranges.
start like chewing on it. You don't eat
sort
it.
of
Like
thing. We've had a few crops that have
chew on it and all the sugar
This is
comes
one of
out.
them now.
Is it good? You need help?
Exactly.
Square.
I can
Exactly. Well, look, that's how they.
Maybe she could
But the
peel.
sugar's in it.
Ours were just sugar cane.
Sugar cane.
Yeah.
What do you do with it?
Chew on it.
Is it sugary?
You're very welcome. When we were little, we had that little stand. She's actually weaving them today. So you'll get to see how they're done. I know them as boondoggles because that's what I was always told they were. But they're actually made out of a palmetto frond.
Hold it a certain way. And it's to keep the evil spirits away.
That's pretty cool.
These are the best pot scrubbers you'll ever run up against. They are made out of a palmetto bush.
On the inside.
Inside.
Yeah, so once
They
it's
run
cut.
over a million nails.
like it?
Just keep running and running and running
like
and
it.
get it. And it won't scratch anything.
Yeah.
Very soft.
And once it gets dull, you just
run it over
Yep.
the nail.
Put a board and a bunch of nails through it, and then so the pointy side, you would just like a hairbrush looking thing. You would just scrub it back over that to
Get it to go,
to
yeah.
get more bristles.
Biggest thing is that crossover. These are made out of saw palmetto. Very good. The saw palmetto, you can tell they're raw because they won't tear your fingers up. I mean, they're very sharp. It's a natural craft. The Seminoles used to do this and give it to the newcomers as a, like a welcome gift. And it's supposed to ward off evil spirits.
And here, you can tape them down to the tinted. Yours already got taped. To the bottom corner. Yes. I'm gonna go home and fitting. We have one more open door if you want to do it. Okay, and then go to the next one. That's right there. Tape the stencil down to the
Ironing.
I'm not sure about
I
the
made a
cats,
star.
but the cat did because I'm good at the cat.
Good job, dude.
Not filming.
Good job. Dun 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 dun. Cool.
This was easily one of the most meaningful hands-on experiences of the day. Wreath making frontier style. Instead of store-bought decorations, families historically used what they could gather from the land. grapevine rounds, pine brush, magnolia leaves, pine cones, shells, berries, and beads. As we worked, volunteers explained how decorations weren't just for looks, they were symbols of abundance, gratitude, and survival. Jeff worked alongside Gertie, carefully placing greenery and shells, while Dean jumped right in and built his wreath with confidence and creativity.
That's a good one, Sis. You like the... Which one do you want? Pick one. Okay.
Watching the kids build something beautiful from natural materials was a reminder that early settlers relied on creativity and resourcefulness, turning the land itself into a celebration.
Great job.
So the reason why they call it naval stores is because back in the age of wooden ships, you had to have pine resin products to maintain a wooden ship name. They call it the cat face because these stick up like the ears of a cat, and these streaks are like the whiskers that come out of a cat's mouth. So once a week they would come by with this tool, and it has that cast iron weight on it, so when you get it in the cut, it pulls through the cut, and they would cut a new streak on both sides, and the pine resin would run down the face, down into these guttering tins, and it would run into this cup. And they'd take a dip paddle like this, and a dip bucket like that, and they'd scrape that resin into that bucket, and then they would hang the cup back on the nail, and then that pine resin would be taken to a turpentine still, where it would be, where they would distill turpentine, but they would also get pine tar, pine pitch, pine rosin, like rosin that goes on violin strings. Sometimes the stress of doing this killed the tree, sometimes the trees survived it.
And I'll show you how to make an ornament. Okay, come on. Once you get it through, tie the ends together a little more.
Just want to tie the two pieces together.
We're making ornaments.
But they're still pretty, aren't they? Will you put that on your tree at home? Right, awesome.
Hard as you can. Okay. Cool.
Soap carving might seem like a simple craft, but historically it was both practical and meaningful. Families often carved soap into decorative or giftable shapes, especially during the holidays, turning everyday necessities into something special. The kids focused on shaping and smoothing, learning that even the simple tools could become art. The doll shop was another window into the frontier family life. Children could choose a rag doll and create clothing using fabric scraps, just like families would have done generations ago. Nothing was wasted, every scrap had value. There were volunteers teaching basic sewing techniques, patiently guiding the kids through stitches that once meant warmth, durability, and survival. Watching the kids design their outfits and learn hands-on skills felt incredibly grounding. A reminder that creativity, patience, and care were essential parts of daily life on the frontier.
Everyone would love this kind of
Yeah, I agree.
I'd like to try one.
I make my grandma more of a mom. This is her.
Last time I did
Go, let me see. Hold it up. Great. Let's go see what they're doing.
We warmed up with a traditional frontier drink, a simple wassail made from apple juice, orange juice, and cinnamon. Sweet, comforting, and perfect for winter gatherings like this.
Go. Thank you. Is it Dean approved?
Yes.
Sissy? Sissy approved. How does it taste?
11 out of 10.
11 out of 10?
Did you braid the doll's hair?
Not yet.
Little sooted wax on one off of it. Blueberry crisp.
So it looks like he melted some butter. Ooh, okay.
I put 10 ounces of blueberries in the bottom of the Dutch oven, a tablespoon of flour, and a dash of water. Now I'm making the crumble, which has a cup of oats, a cup of brown sugar, half a cup of white sugar, a cup of flour, a dash of baking soda, baking powder, and cinnamon, and a cup of melted butter. And I'll put the crumble on, and we'll cook it for about 15 minutes over the coals.
So how did they, with the baking powder and the baking soda and things like that, like how?
It came from Tallahassee, and then from Tallahassee probably from New York or Philadelphia or someplace by wagon train or boat.
Okay.
Be a trading good. Here it is.
And who can say no to blueberry cobbler and popcorn cooked over the open campfire? And just like that, we find ourselves right back to where the day began, at the games. Earlier, we helped them set up, and now we knew how to play. The kids jumped in with confidence, laughing, competing, and showing off what they'd learned. There was something really special about that full circle moment, starting the day as helpers and ending it as participants, and realizing how community, history, and play all connect. These games weren't just entertainment, they were how families gathered, learned, and bonded long before screens and schedules.
We actually own Shut the Box.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, you guys have so much fun.
And what your goal is to get all of your numbers. And if you make it into there, I need to know how this works. Goal is to get 0. 2.
Found it? Oh, good.
It was in her tennis shoe. That's the same. Now we can use the correct one.
The kids will play that game and they have to figure out
Come on, get the 100.
Oh! Oh, man, that was so close.
We ended the day beneath one of the most incredible features on the property, a 1,000-year-old oak tree. This tree stood long before battles and long before borders, long before Florida was Florida. Sitting beneath it felt like the perfect ending, a reminder of resilience, history, and continuity. If you enjoyed this journey, be sure to like and subscribe and follow along. And as we always say, never stop exploring.